ACOG iRacing Series presents to you here tonight, Charlotte Take 2 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Hopefully this thing goes well, unlike a couple of weeks ago. My name is EZECKIEL.
And I'm Dewey Schramm. Welcome here to MaxspeedTV's presentation of the Charlotte Mulligan here tonight in Concord, North Carolina. As of course we had the all those big wrecks at the beginning 2 weeks ago, and the couple cars that missed them decided they didn't want to race anymore, so we're doing it again tonight instead. And this time we're going to have a $10 payout to the winner, so a bit of an added incentive here that wasn't on the table a couple of weeks ago. So we'll dive in here. It looks like Frimpong right now is going to be the fastest in practice, but we'll get a look and see where everybody sits in the points. Of course, it's a doubleheader this weekend because of this makeup race. We're running this race tonight and the Chase cutoff race at Talladega tomorrow. So 2 nights in a row, these guys are going to have to be on their toes. And I don't remember off the top of my head how many guys make it into the Chase, but it's pretty close regardless of where that line is.
Yeah, that's 10 drivers who's making it into the Chase. William Schmidt, even though he started parked last week at Martinsville, I mean, he's up in that top 10. And you know how that new point system works. You don't get 1 point for finishing last. You get about like you get a set amount of points of finishing wherever position you are in. So if you finish 20th, you're getting 23 points. William finished 20th. Hence why he's in that top 10. So participation is very, very huge. But for this whole entire series, and because Malachi Drake has made all starts, not only that, that number 90 has been consistent, finishing up inside this top 10. So that's why that 90 is running up front.
Yeah, and he's 99 points ahead of that cutoff line, which is Schmidt in 10th. So for all intents and purposes, he's locked himself into this 4-race chase. So we'll see where he goes with that, and if the 9 people with him on the left can keep themselves inside that top 10. But again, it'll certainly be interesting now that we have 2 races this weekend, with the second one being the cutoff. And I think that's going to just about do it here for the practice session. I don't know how much time is exactly left. Looks like about 40 or so seconds. Nick Miller fastest on the board now. And it looks like we're going to have a lot more people here tonight than we had at the Mulligan 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so it looks like about 24 drivers in total. Waiting on one more driver to go ahead and log himself into the session. That'll be Charlie Beyer, the 016, to log himself forward. He's running part-time here in this league now. But yeah, Charlotte Motor Speedway, hopefully we don't see shenanigans of what we saw last couple weeks, because that was pretty disastrous. And hopefully William Schmidt could actually top himself up on the charts for this 150 lap event. We're gonna go ahead and pull ourselves at the side, play the national anthem, so go ahead, rise up, remove your hats as we salute our nation's colors. ACOG iRacing Series presents to you here tonight, Charlotte Motor Speedway, take 2 of this 225-mile event. We'll just go ahead and drive ourselves into race analytics here on the right and left side of your screen here for tonight.
Yeah, I got a 1.5 mile oval here in Charlotte, like what they like to call a cookie cutter. So we'll see how these guys do on the cookie cutter track here for tonight. Pit road speed of 50 miles an hour. So we'll see if anybody misses pit road, because somebody in this booth has done that before and hit pit barrels. They shall remain nameless. I don't know which one of us it is, but somebody in here has done it. So hopefully no one ends up doing that here tonight. These drivers will have 5 tire sets to manage over these 150 laps, and with an estimated fuel window of 43 to 47 laps. Probably going to be a 3-stop race. We'll see what people do when it comes to saving gas, and those 150 laps even out to 225 miles.
Very curious who hit those tire barrels.
Hmm.
We'll pull up standings here in the front of your screen. Kendrick holds the fastest time right now. How about that for that 076 running here part-time? He now resides himself in the top position. Not Ryan Kendrick, but Mark Frimpong. He was top of the charts, I think, in that practice session, so he pulls himself into third. Jackson Menchu, nice qualifying effort by him. That 07 just worked himself into third.
Yeah, I believe he showed up last week as well, so good to see him up there towards the top. Here's a look at David Bachman in the 84. Looks like this will be his first of 2 laps, and he's going to loop it there out of 4. So that's going to be a hindrance there to him. We'll see where Menchu slots it on his second lap. Looks like his first one was faster. And we'll see if Bachman can hopefully tow that back to pit road and get another go-around at it before the session ends. But we'll probably have a fair amount of drivers again that won't take a time, and that will probably either pit start or start from the rear and hoping to avoid a potential early incident.
Yeah, we'll just have to see about that. A lot of qualifying times are way, way faster than what we were in practice, so that's exciting to see. I mean, Kendrick ran a .4 in practice. He ran a .25 in qualifying. Bundren, he just worked himself in a second spot. Another person in the .2, so some big names just creeping inside this top 5. For that for Bundren, he's sitting, looks like, yeah, he's sitting second right now, so.
That was a really good lap by the 37. As even watching the 08 of Dylan Basin, who's already won a couple times here this season. His lap will put him in P5 out of the 12 cars to have taken time. And the 12 that have taken time are only separated by about 0.3 of a second, so pretty evenly split field, or evenly competitive field rather, over this qualifying session. And we'll see if that translates over to the race event, and where everybody not taking time will slide in as well.
Yeah, we'll just have to see as Basin works himself through 3 and 4, and to the start finishing he goes. .381. So, gonna have to settle for 5th for the time being. Another person inside this top 3, Miller, just logged himself inside 3rd.
All right, at the buzzer, and Brian Kendrick will be your pole sitter here for tonight. Congrats to him on putting that blazing lap down, and he'll lead us to the green here at Charlotte, and we'll bring up the rest of the starting grid here at the bottom of your screen. There's Kendrick on the front row, and to his outside will be Glenn Bunger in that 37.
Yep. Row number 2 going to be Nick Miller in the number 19 machine. Mark Frimpong right alongside of him.
And rounding out the top 5 will be Jackson Menchu in the 07, and Dylan Basin, again, who's already won a couple times. He will roll off in P6.
Row number 4 is going to consist of Kevin White Jr. in that number 38. Tommy Reynolds in that number 7 is also there as well.
And the rest of the top 10, Mark Austin in the 159 and Jacob Oliver in the 18. Rest of the starting grid will be shown on the bottom of your screen. Pick your favorite driver and hope they do good or maybe even win here for tonight. Looks like 13 cars took time, and we'll see how many more we have here towards the rear. Looks like it's going to be 23 that take the green here for tonight for these 115 laps. I believe we had 15 the first go around here. And I don't think Malachi is here, but again, he's pretty much clinched a spot in the chase. He doesn't really need to show up either tonight or tomorrow. But if you're someone like William Schmidt or Cole Williams or Cole Wood, anybody that's near that cut line, you need to do everything you can to get as many points as possible over these next 2 nights.
Yeah, that's right. And Malachi is present here. That number 90 is going to be starting all the way back in 15th spot. There he is in that that number 90. So Malachi looking to carry on that momentum. I mean, he has over nearly 100-point lead. I think he does have an 100-point lead. Or over an 100-point lead.
Yeah, I believe it was 99. Pretty much as close to 100
Oh, actually, no,
as
that
you could
wasn't even
possibly
close.
get.
230 minus 195 does not equal 100.
Oh, jeez, I thought you meant the 10th place. Hearing 0 on that one. Yeah, a 35-point gap though from first to second, which is still a pretty big gap. I mean, obviously with the new point system, that actually is you could actually gain that back in a race with a full field, but I mean, still a very comfortable lead regardless for Malachi. And again, with a 99-point gap between him and 10th, it's going to be nearly impossible for him to lose that much ground in 2 races.
Richard pole sitter Ryan Kendrick in that 076 ran full season last season in ACOG. Did not win the championship, but is a former championship. He is a former championship driver in this league, so I'm glad to see that 076 pick off himself on top. Alright. Oh, crossing my fingers. Please don't wreck lap 1. Please don't wreck 1. Please don't wreck lap 1.
There have been quite a few lap 1 incidents here so far this season. Hopefully we do not add another one here to that tally. But again, 23 cars taking the green here for tonight. Ryan Kendrick and Glenn Bundren. Your front row, pace car will get out of the way because we don't need it anymore. Green flag is out here at Charlotte for 150 laps.
Here we
and
go.
Kendrick did not get going that well. Stacked the inside up a little bit.
Yeah, they go side by side in the one. Nick Miller, I mean, not Nick Miller. I'll be Mark Frimpong getting a nice bite in on that outside. But everybody made it through 1 and 2. Woo!
Well, we still have 3 and 4 ahead of us, but Kendrick will clear down the backstretch as we move for second. Nick Miller going for that spot on Frimpong. 53 got really high there in the middle of 3 and 4 to really get out of the gas. Out of 4, he'll hold on to it. And at the line, Kendrick will lead lap 1, and we do not have a lap 1 wreck this week.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it. Side by side in this corner, Reynolds gets the bite on that 53 of Frimpong. They're just about taking it 3 wide up on the high side. That is Dylan Basin trying to make some headway against that 18 of Jacob Oliver, as well as the 53 of Frimpong. Still a lot of side-by-side racing as Basin gets way high.
Got as close to the wall as you can possibly get right there. And I was going to say, if you didn't have a lap 1 wreck, yeah, just have a lap 2 wreck instead. But we're still green here as Kendrick looks like he's pulled ahead of Miller by about half a second. As if a side-by-side battle further back. That's Frimpong and Tommy Reynolds. And that 7 car, he's already made up about 4 or 5 spots on track. He's flying right now.
Oliver into the outside wall. Nailed it big time. He's side-by-side with Basin, but he loses 3 spots in the process.
Looks like that 7 car of Reynolds might be one to watch here as this run goes on. And again, it already made his way up to P3. We'll see if he can try to catch Miller and Kendrick over the next handful of laps. But it looks like the top 7 or 8 all single file here, through 1 and 2.
Charlie Byron in 016 does not grid up. The 37 of Bundren, even though he qualified himself in second, he did not grid up, and he is yet to log in a lap. Mitch Hobbs, looks like connection issues for him as well. The 89 just now making himself on the racetrack. He's currently multiple laps down, so yet to hit the racetrack, but he is in the session now.
Yeah, and it sounds like Glenn Bundren's power went out. I mean, of all the times for your power to go out, it's right after you qualify on the front row for a race. So, unfortunately for him, his race is pretty much over before it started, despite his great qualifying run. So, a tough break there for him, completely out of his control. As we get another look here at that 7 of Tommy Reynolds again. Made his way up to third already, but we have our first caution of the night here on lap 5, and it involves the 151 of Kai Gomes. Apologies if that's pronounced wrong, but That is our first incident here on lap 5 and 6, and we'll get a look and see what happened here.
Yeah, one of our rookies here in tonight's field, and unfortunately that machine is...
Oh, he's crab walking.
Yeah, he's crab walking, so it's going to be a lengthy repair for that 151. We're going to have to see on what happened, though. It looks like he was racing around the 007 at Aaron Brown there. Also had the 70 at Grindle, so we're going to have to see what happened.
Grindle's hovering around that chase bubble, too. I believe he came into tonight into 12th or 13th in points. You see him hit the wall back there. And into 3, looks like the 007 just got right into the side of the 151, and big hit to the outside wall, and Grindle ends up getting into him. But he might have netcoded through him,
he might have netcoded. I was about to say.
What a lucky break for Harry. I mean, he's got a T-bone the 151, and looks like he netcoded through him without a problem. Which is huge for that 70 given his point situation. Yeah, it looks like the 007 looks like he went up a lane there and accidentally got into the 151 machine.
Oops.
So we got a good amount of cars on pit road. A lot of people staying out, a lot of people hitting pit road. Looks like it's about an even split here for right now. And you mentioned Mitch as well, not completing a lap yet. I think he's around that bubble as well. Now he's on track.
Yeah, Mitch is 4 laps down, so he's going to get a wave around. Now be 3 laps down. He's the only car 1 lap down with this first caution, so to be able to probably still working, you know.
Looks like Bachman and Eduardo Munez lost a lap somehow.
Oh no, looks like they're still lead lap.
Maybe there's a ticker glitch.
Everybody started on the grid except for the 89, so I don't think we're gonna have any ticker glitches unless Hobbs works himself into the lead, so fine for right now as we get 2 laps to go for this green. So relatively quick caution. Unfortunate for that 151 at Cal. It looks like gonna be a DNF with all that damage. So
yeah, tough break for him, and you know the wreck was no fault of his own either. Just got a bad tap there from Aaron Brown, and unfortunately his night's over pretty much before it began.
Hopefully Bondrin could also work himself back on the lead lap. Bondrin's yet to connect to the session, but the more time that passes, the more laps he's going to go down. So Bondrin, he too, I wouldn't say he's running for points, but he's still, I think he's not. I thought he was within top 20 range, but I guess not.
And pace light's already off here. So there'll be Kendrick and Reynolds lead us back to or Kendrick and Miller rather. I see a couple cars towards the back just now making their way off pit road, but ample time, of course, for them to catch up to the rear of the pack. See Luke Peters in the 50, one of those still back there.
The 70 at Grindle, we just talked about him. Looks like he did netcode through that incident. He did get a bit of right side damage after tagging the wall off of 2 before that wreck happened, but that 70 seems as though he's okay.
Yeah, still a lucky break, all things considered. With the way that replay looked, he was about to T-bone him in that 151 and probably be out of the race, but sometimes netcode can be a good thing. In this case, it was.
Yes, indeed. 076 Ryan Kendrick. This time he'll be the control car for this one, as Miller's in the 19 right alongside of him. Kendrick stalls the field back, but we'll see if the 7 of Tommy Reynolds could get the good jump. The 19 looks like that'll put it as no for right now. Connor Brandon trying to pinch that 3rd spot for that 7, but up front, top 2 pull away, it's Miller and Kendrick.
Yeah, Miller timed that restart really well as Reynolds gets a bit tight there and washes up into the 92. He does a good job of keeping it straight and out of the wall, but yeah, Miller timed that restart really well, and despite the advantage that the 3rd place car in theory would have, Miller's good timing allowed him to just slot right in front of the 7 car and hold on to that 2nd spot.
That was a really good save by the 92 of Connor. He got doored up the racetrack, kept it off the wall. Only that, he didn't lose as many positions as I thought he would. Now we're side by side here for looks like around 7th place. It's Menshew. Oh, we got another wreck.
I think we might have just had somebody alt F4 to avoid a caution.
And oh my goodness, that's the 00 of Miles Nelson. But that was That was the 38 of Kevin White.
Kevin White. I think he Alt-F4'd mid-spin to avoid a caution coming out. Because he was dead sideways, and all of a sudden his car just disappeared. So that might have been exactly that. And if that was the case, I mean, an unfortunate end to the night for Kevin White, but at the same time, I'm sure the other competitors appreciate him doing that to not bring on another yellow.
Pretty sure I think the other way around. I don't know who picked up damage from that big scuffle, but
I'm sure the ones up front are probably glad it didn't come back out, though.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of what happened here.
Never want to have a wreck this early, and it looks like he just washed up right into the 15 of Benjamin and Brindle, and yeah, I think he just Alt-F4'd it.
Yep.
That'll be it for him. But yeah, you never want a lot of early yellows in a race this long. It can get really frustrating, especially if you're towards the front and you know you have a lot of speed. So I'm sure a lot of the ones up front appreciate that staying green.
For the 15 and the 70, they think otherwise, though.
Oh, for sure. It didn't look like they made that much by way of contact. I think they might be alright.
Still a lot of side-by-side racing throughout the racetrack right now. As Hendrick's done a nice job of pulling himself away. Battle we have on the racetrack that's toward the front, though, is between the 79 of William Schmidt, Jackson Menchu, and the 07 going to go at it.
And William came into tonight 10th in the points, right around that cut line. And I think it's only about a 5 or 10 point gap between himself and the 11th place car. So he needs a good run tonight to keep himself in that top 10. Of course, leading into Talladega tomorrow, and who knows what's going to happen there.
Yeah, that's right. That's obviously going to be very, very intense with all of that going on. Still up front, though, it's Kendrick in the 076. Again, as we said, Ryan Kendrick running this series part-time, but usually when he does run these races, he's doing a very, very nice job of keeping himself toward the front. You see the 08 of Dylan Basin swing himself to the high side around at number 7 of Tommy Reynolds. Nice job by him in the 08. Also a nice job there by the 7 of Tommy Reynolds to keep himself inside this top 5. Tommy coming in here as a rookie this season, so doing a nice job as of right now. I mean, he did race last summer's season, but the 7 coming in here as a full-time competitor, doing a very, very nice job.
Yeah, started in P8, worked his way up to 3rd in the first 5 or 6 laps before that yellow came out, and still sitting in 4th place, so still a solid run going for that 7 car so far. We'll see if he can keep it going throughout the duration of the night.
Big battles at the 15 of... That's Benjamin White.
And he makes the pass.
Passing the grass, ACOG edition right there, as you see the Mark Austin in the 159. He's another rookie. He weaves himself through the middle, now getting sandwiched between the 79 and 07, but... Oh, man, that was a great move there by Benjamin, not only to save that race car, but to also keep it fast enough and straight enough to make the pass, as he got by both the 79 and the 159, and he's already gapped him by about half a second. Got a wreck somewhere.
Caution is out.
Caution number 2 of the night, and it's Connor Brandon in the 92 in the outside wall, running inside the top 6.
Ooh.
And that's a lot of damage, and that might be the end of the night for him. Always shows a lot of speed here at Charlotte, but unfortunately something always seems to happen to that 92 car that takes him out of contention. And on lap 18 this night, likely over, and he had help from Reynolds.
Well, I mean, I'm not really sure about that. Reynolds was having a nice run inside that top 5 too. Well, I gotta get another look at that. We'll slow it down. So,
I think.
Oh, so that's gonna have a bit of controversy to it. So
yeah, that's definitely gonna be one of those, which side do you believe arguments.
Yeah. So I mean,
Connor's gonna argue that's the normal corner entry, and Reynolds is probably gonna be like, "Well, I was already there. I mean, what are you doing coming up like that when I'm there?" But
yeah, Connor.
Yeah,
I'm not really sure. You could
say go either way.
Yeah, you could also say, I mean, Reynolds wasn't as, you know, Connor, what you call it? No, Reynolds wasn't as high up at the corner as what Connor expected him to be. Connor's gonna argue like, oh, I should have been higher. But Reynolds is gonna say, well, I mean, you have a whole bunch of bottom, so...
Yeah, a whole lot of racetrack down there, but... Yeah, Connor definitely got the worst end of that. See the big hit there to the outside wall, and that will be a lengthy repair job for the 92. And looks like our leaders have hit pit road, except for Jackson Menchu. So the 07 will lead us back to the green. But it looks like he's the only one electing not to come down pit lane this time.
Yeah, so have a you know, a lot of controversy behind that. A lot of different weights and stuff like that, but both points are valid. Unfortunately, they just collided into one. Not the way of intention though, but somebody's gonna pin the blame on the other.
I mean, I'd call it a racing incident, but
totally.
You know, you never know how the drivers involved feel about it. We can only assume. As you see, our leaders making their way off pit road.
The first one off looks like was the 076.
Yeah, and unless Menchu pits here, it will restart on the outside in second. So still a while to go, but definitely still a much better start to the night than what we had 2 weeks ago.
Definitely. It's like a lot of drivers left on the lead lap. 19 so far, as Menchu is going to peel off of the race lead on the pit road. No, looks like never mind. He did lead a lap, luckily. So Menchu trying to, you know, get as many points as he can, but I think he's out of that chase bubble for right now. Speaking of chase bubble, since we do have a set point amount, no, I guess we could go ahead and talk about, you know, how who's, you know, maybe in contention for the chase and who isn't.
A lot of people not here, though.
Yeah, I mean, Cole's not here, Woody's not here. Grindle is here, though. He needs a good points night here tonight to get himself as many points as he can. Kame's not here either.
Burgie's not here. Miles Nelson is here, though. Yeah, and so is Benjamin. DeAngelis is not. Parker's not. Justin and Sartaj are not either, but they have a pretty good cushion up by 30 on Williams. I think those two, they might be fine not showing up tonight, but I'd show up tomorrow to be on the safe side if I'm Justin and Sartaj.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
We'll see what they decide to do. Yeah, both Coles are absent, so that's big for William. If that 79 can get himself in the top 5 or top 10, that would really help him try to keep that 10th and final chase spot. But I think it's still going to come down to tomorrow. Because since it's Talladega, I'm sure we're going to have at least 35 cars, if not a full field for that one.
Yeah, definitely. We'll just have to see on how that'll all go. But, you know, lately, we've had a lot of people getting eliminated off of super speedway races. So, that thing is definitely going to boil down to attrition coming to the end. So, we'll have to see. One up to go. And it's Menchu gonna lead this thing. Menchu's first laps led this season, besides, I think, super speedways and such, if he did lead any. Menchu's last win in NASCAR, I think, coming in the Tour Modifieds at Stafford, so it's been a while since the 07 been in Victory Lane.
Yeah, that was quite a while ago now. But of course, I mean, he had a pretty good run going tonight before electing to stay out, so we'll see how long he can keep himself up there despite having older tires than everybody else at the moment. But of course, Kendrick, the pole sitter, went every lap up until this yellow. Still there in second. The top 5 looks like remains pretty much unchanged. And Kevin White and Kai Gomes, the 2 cars out of the running here. I think Connor might still be on pit road getting damaged, but looks like Tommy Reynolds also on pit road, or I don't know what happened to him, because he didn't look like he was fine after that contact with Connor, but 2 laps down though, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Green, green, green. Mention, nice jump there. That's a perfect restart by the 07. He pulls himself by 3. They're going to be side by side for that second spot, which is going to allow Nick Miller to pull himself forward. Never mind. Menchu peels off to the left out of harm's way. And it seems as though Menchu's going to drop all the way last lead lap, and that means Miller's going to lead this thing.
Yeah, and Kendrick got pretty loose there in the middle of the corner, and that's going to allow Frimpong to take away second place. So put that 53 up into P2, and as Luke Peters really went hot there into turn 3 and tagged the outside wall, but he's going to hold on to 4th despite that, and he'll have a run down the front stretch. Didn't think you could get that big of a run after hitting the wall, but maybe that 50 knows something we don't.
I don't know. That's like semi-personal tactics, I would gotta say. But that 50's still riding inside this top 5. Everybody knows the tail now is because Miller has now taken the lead. Menchu seems as though going to start in park. He's disconnected from the session now. And that's also dragged in the 53 of Frimpong inside the second spot. So now with Miller pulling himself forward by 6/10. I think Miller, does he have a win this season? I don't think he does.
He's come close. I mean, he won the Super Speedway opener on Saturday night, or Sunday night rather.
Well, another
caution back out here on lap 25, and David Bachman is destroyed here in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Miles Nelson, one of our bubble drivers, also with a lot of damage to that 00 machine. So our third caution of the night, and looks like both of those cars might be done for here, and that's not good news for Miles Nelson.
Oh, definitely not. So we're going to see what happened here through the corner.
He needed a really good run tonight.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to finish as low as like 17th.
It's not going to be enough.
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Huge
Tumbling
hit.
through the air. Wow. Wow. We're going to look and see what happened here.
Whoa.
What the? Maybe a wheel disconnection or something? That was a weird one. And I mean, nothing Bachman can do. Just launches him through the air, tumbles up the track and into the outside wall.
Yeah, and not only that, 00 is blinking a ton. So that looks like some sort of hardware issue happened on Nelson's.
Oh, poor Bachman.
Yeah, and we just got report wheel disconnection on the 00.
Yikes. Man, that's awful for Bachman, too. You saw him going down the racetrack to miss him, and, of course, Miles had no control of his race car at that point, and it just sailed right down the track and clocked him. And, again, with, Miles is the only bubble driver here besides Grindle, so he really, really needed a good finish tonight. And, unfortunately, that is not in the cards for him tonight, and he's going to have a pretty much maybe even win tomorrow at Talladega if he wants to get himself into the chase.
Yeah, I mean, yikes. It's not good for him.
Wow.
He's tied with Berge. I mean, 1 point behind Kame. But for Grindle, that's good news for him. He doesn't really, all he has to do is finish the race and such. But how many spots is Miles going to lose?
Yeah, it always stinks when it's one of those wrecks where you've absolutely no control over what happens.
Or Bachman, which is a victim of circumstances there. He gets absolutely murks the 00.
That's about as big of a hit as you can possibly have at a track like this. Like, if you're the car, like, if you're the car that T-bones the spinning car and your front end launches up into the air, it was a big hit.
Yeah, my goodness.
And it takes a lot of force to do that. And again, I'm sure both of their nights, for sure, are going to be done. So I think that leaves us with 18 or 19 now. Oh, actually 15.
Yeah, so we're dwindling down the field slowly. Not as bad as Martinsville.
Yeah, we're down now to the field size we started with 2 weeks ago. So hopefully we can keep it here and not lose any more cars for a while. Looks like Eduardo Munez in the 29 is just going to lap down as well. I'm not sure what the deal there is.
Me neither.
Maybe made an extra pit stop, perhaps.
Alright. Double it up. 1 to go. So, Munoz does work himself back in the lead lap. So it seems as a scorer turning and scoring moves itself forward. Alright, left with now 15 cars on the racetrack. 28 laps down. Still a lot of time to go for these race car drivers. 123 laps to go here in tonight's event. Still about like a full hour of racing left, so that's going to have a lot to turn out for the rest of these guys out on the racetrack, especially for that 53 of Mark Frimpong. Been a while since we've seen him in victory lane. I hope to see that 53 in victory lane. He's always a cool personality to watch.
That would be a very popular win if it were to happen. Green flag back out here on lap 29. Looks like the rear of the field got stacked up a little bit, but a good restart for Miller. And Frimpong tried to slide in front of Kendrick, but just couldn't get enough of a run to do it. And they'll be side by side through 1 and 2.
We talk about good runs and such like that. Harry Grindle is now inside this top 10. He needs to be inside this top 10 as we're trying to go 3 wide with the 08 of Dylan Basin. Can't find a hole between Benjamin A. White nor the 50 of Luke Peters. And Peters, he too has been quiet.
He really sent it on the top. I mean, he got a pretty good run off a corner exit too. I didn't think he could really keep the car up there. But again, maybe he knows something we don't. And we'll see if anybody else tries it here over these next couple laps. Because he was really close to the wall, almost rim riding it.
Looks like he's going to make the corner that time as Basin's going to follow him in pursuit. Benjamin A. White in the 15, really nowhere to go on the bottom for right now. He's sort of jammed back there, and he did not get a good entry that time. That 15 didn't, and he got tight coming into the corner, and he's probably going to lose 2 to the 50 of Luke Peters as well as Basin. Also a fight here for this lead as Kendrick has pulled himself to the front.
On the outside, good pass there by the 076. Our pole sitter back to the top spot again. Looks like Peters exited a bit high that time, and that's going to allow Benjamin to get enough of a run on the bottom to maybe complete that pass. But Kendrick looks like he's starting to pull away already from that 19.
It's huge. That 076 to Kendrick. Work himself back to the lead. Top 3 trying to pull themselves away. Frimpong trying to pull himself away from Benjamin. Benjamin just doing whatever he can to fend off the 50 and the 08, who have been side by side for the past few laps. Tommy Reynolds in the 7, disconnection from him.
Yeah, I think the outside might be finally starting to give way there for Peters. This will drop another spot to Basin in the 08. So maybe the outside like that will work for 1 or 2 laps, but if you run any more than that up there, it might not work that well. And Peters drops another spot to Malachi as went through the artificial turf there on the front stretch.
Yeah, Peters got a bad exit off of 4, ran over that restart zone, and he resides in 7th spot.
So I think that outside might be a short-term thing. If you have a run of about 3 or 4 laps to the finish, it might be usable, but on the long run, looks like it's not the way to go.
I mean, who knows? It might be the way to go coming to the long run. We haven't seen that long run pace kick in yet, so I mean, we'll have to see on how it'll all go for the rest of the drivers. But for right now, everybody's now settled themselves down into a pace, and we'll have to see on how things will go.
Caution is out.
Gosh.
And speaking of, and it's Grindle, another bubble driver here. Caution 4 here on lap 34. So the longest green flag run we've had so far tonight is about 10 or 11 laps, and both of the bubble drivers in attendance for tonight in trouble early. And I have a feeling that 70 may have had some assistance.
Yeah, fighting there with I think that's Mark Austin, the 159, but man, that's not what you want to have happen. And it seems as though 159 had a run, was looking inside, and
oh, yeah, he got
not as
lucky.
hard as a hit as I thought. A Klein doing a nice job there.
Wow, great job there by the 80. I think he'd already committed to the top side there and did a great job of slowing it down to not hit the 70. But Grindle net-coded earlier through the spinning Kai Gomes, but not as fortunate here this time.
Yeah.
Oh, netcode.
Another piece of netcode there, but honestly,
Yeah.
that 70 got really lucky. Oh, this 80 hit the wall, but
Yeah, he got the wall, but he didn't hit the 70, so still could have been worse for Matthew Klein. That should be repairable. That'll buff out.
and definitely repairable for the 70 as well. I mean, honestly, Grindle, he got really lucky because usually if you hit the backside wall like that, we saw a situation on how it worked out for the 151.
Yeah, definitely not as big of a hit. But, I mean, Harry Grindle just tonight showing in about 30 laps the good side of netcode and the bad side of netcode. And I think this will bring most of the field back down to pit road. So unfortunate netcode there between Austin and Grindle to set the 70 back a little bit.
Luke Peters in the 50 also on disconnection from him. Not really sure what happened there, but
He was running good, and then he didn't. Now he's gone. So I'm not sure what the reasoning for that one is, but I think that's going to leave us now with 14 left on track here for the last 114 laps.
so a lot of time left in this race, and we know the pit window is around every 45-ish. I forgot what the pit window was for Chicagoland, but it should be same situation there, which I think was like 40, 50-ish laps. Pretty sure that number's going to fluctuate because the amount of pit stops are going to dwindle down, and with the amount of cautions we're getting very early, everybody's going to be, you know, watching their fuel and seeing what kind of strategy they're going to elect with, seeing where they're going to go from there.
Yeah, and with 113 to go, it's gonna, if you pit now, that's gonna leave you with a two-stop strategy the rest of the way. So if you decide to spread it or take it all the way to the end of the fuel run, if you pit now, that'll put you, I think, about lap 85, and then again around 120 or so. So we'll see if anyone elects to do that, or if we have any that try to run the tank dry now. Any number of different things you could try to do here.
We'll just have to see on, you know, once that first wave of pit stops or that first green flag cycle does come around, we're definitely going to see some baselines made off of that first pit stop, because that's what you usually do. For the first, you know, quarter of the run, all the way up to your first pit stop, everybody is trying to find their numbers, right? And once you get that first pit stop down, you mark down the numbers and sort of work off of that number and combine it with other strategies, or sort of modify for that second or maybe and third run. So we just have to see on how it'll all go for those drivers and such. But for right now, I guess we're still in the first third of the race. We yet to cross that lap 50 mark, so everybody for right now just doing a fine job of keeping themselves as sturdy as they can and getting themselves on the right track for those next upcoming green flag pit stops, or if we get even any. For those who are tuning in here tonight, ACOG iRacing Series live on the MaxspeedTV. Also broadcasting right now with Joshua Medlock is the Extreme Cup Series with the Next Gens at Phoenix. You could go ahead and tune into that broadcast if you're not liking what you're seeing here out on the racetrack. For those of you who are watching this broadcast, I do thank you though. Hello.
Yeah, thanks for that. we do appreciate your viewership. And for those that aren't watching right now, it'd be cool if you did. You know, we've got a lot of laps left, a lot of good racing left. You should definitely consider tuning in if you haven't done that already.
Yep. 113 laps to go. This time by pace car scoots itself on in. And green. And wow, Frimpong did not get going.
Green flag. That might be an understatement right there. It's the 53 will be under fire already from Benjamin White in the 15, who started himself around 10th or so Now trying to get himself into that runner-up spot, but he's got Nick Miller now right on his back bumper.
Another
And
caution.
caution again, though. Survey says... I don't know. Oh, that might be our answer.
It's Matthew Klein, the 80. We'll have to see what happened as he worked himself through the corner. Oh, came down big time on the 70.
What the?
Got himself stuck.
Got thrown by the wall.
How many times has Harry Grindle has hit somebody? He's been like, 5 cars he's hit, but, not to his fault or anything like that, but, yeah.
I guess the safer bearer had a bone to pick with the 80 car. I mean, I think Grindle might have just got a bit hot in there, and the 80 just overcorrects, and... Yeah.
I mean, Grindle was already down there, and Klein's coming down. He thinks as though, the car's not there under him, but Grindle had the run made. And Klein was already committed to going down to the bottom, made contact there, and unfortunately, not only that, grabbed the outside safer barrier.
Yeah, safer barrier just picked up a 3,000-pound automobile and chucked it like it was nothing. Here on lap 39, and yeah, just a classic overcorrect. Nothing you can do at that point. And that'll be the end of the night for him, and I think that leaves us now with only 13 cars on the racetrack.
And not only that for Klein, he's trying to stay off of him. I mean, not Klein, but for Harry in the 70. Harry all the way, he had half the car on the apron trying to stay off the 80. It was too little too late, and Harry couldn't have done anything better, and, unfortunately, they made contact, and back on the pit road goes Harry yet again, so a lot of cars left in this thing, only 13 now left on the lead lap.
Yeah, and Harry's already had a couple incidents so far tonight, and he's trying to gain as many points as possible to get into the chase, so he's not trying to get into another incident like that. Just bad timing there leaves him and Klein in some more trouble, and the 80 definitely got the worst of that. So we're down about half the field here, with still over half the race remaining, so we'll see how the cars that are left strategize this and who does it the best to come out on top. Kendrick's definitely looked the best out of anybody so far after winning the pole. He's led almost every lap so far. I think it's going to be tough to take down the 076 tonight.
Lots of laps left in this thing. Getting themselves set and such like that for time. A lap to go. It looks like Bayer nor Bundren will hit the racetrack, so...
Yeah, Glenn probably figured at that point. I mean, he had a great qualifying run, but, once his power went out and lost all those laps, probably just didn't want to run his car around all those laps down the whole night. And I can't necessarily blame him for not wanting to do that. Gotta say, racing... when you're the only one that's like 4 laps down, definitely not as fun when you can't pass for position.
Definitely.
So we'll go green here momentarily. We'll have 108 to go. Kendrick and Frimpong, both of whom have run up there all night, will be the front row.
Okay. His car is on in. And with now minimal cars left on the racetrack.
Green flag.
Hopefully we'll get a good, solid green flag run in. Green flag is out. Benjamin A. White in the 15. Starting on the inside this time. We'll see if he can get a nice bite with Frimpong in tow. But the 19 of Miller pounding him through the corner. So Miller in the 19 not letting go of that 15 just yet. They're side by side still for that second spot.
And looks like Frimpong might lose 2 here, as Miller is right there, as well as the 18 of Oliver got a bit high there in middle of 3 and 4. We were 3 wide for the briefest of moments, and we've got quite a bit of a logjam going on here.
Yeah, man, the 159 of Mark Austin, he got really, really loose. They were scrambling 3 wide around that 159 of Schmidt. Gets a bit tight at the away to base and trying to make a charge up there on the high side. He does so nicely around the 159. Now a battle here for the second spot. It's the 19 of Miller who's going to work himself inside of the 15. Looks like, though, Benjamin going to let him by for right now. So Benjamin just, conserving his tires for the time being and getting himself set for what is hopefully to come a long run.
Yeah, and right behind them, Mitch going for 4th on Frimpong. He'll get that spot. No problem whatsoever. So now Nebula cars P3 and P4 as they run right now. Looks like the whole field right now pretty much single file, but Mitch is going to take a peek for 3rd, or at least thought about it, here through 3 and 4. But up front, still all Kendrick right now.
Mitch to the bottom side now, that number 15 of Benjamin. Benjamin slowly falling back from that second place run he had earlier. Now back to 5th. Now back to 4th, but again, still a lot of time remaining in this race. Not a lot of cars on the lead lap either, so not a lot of positions that 15 could lose, but in terms of race-wise, he's looking nice. But right now, big moment there between the 08 and the 53 of Frimpong. Basin, huge run on the 53. Had to swing it up to the high side and keep it off of him. Not only that, he also made the pass as well, so nice job there. The 08 of Dylan Basin now inside the top 5 after starting 6th.
Yeah, that went about as well as it could have there for Basin. Completed that pass up top. Side-by-side battle here for P7. That's Malachi Drake and Jacob Oliver, with Aaron Brown and Schmidt right behind them. Malachi will get the best of the 18. Looks like he'll drop another spot to Brown, and he might lose 3 here and as many corners here into turn 1.
Yeah, man, big fight here in this position. So a lot of side-by-side racing, and Schmidt pulls himself now inside the top 10.
And that's 79 with him sitting 10th in points coming into tonight. He needs every point he can get both tonight and tomorrow at Talladega. So these passes are very, very important right now for that 79 machine, even though there's still 100 laps to go.
Everybody now settles themselves down into a nice pace for the time being. Gotta mention about some interesting scenarios that are going on right now. So we'll pull up our pit stop stint panel for the time being. So if we do get a long run in, this is going to be interesting for a lot of these drivers. Some of them are going to be offset on that fuel mark. You see there, top 2 pitted about 13, 14 laps ago. 3rd through 4th, 30 laps ago. Make that 3rd, 5th, and 6th as the 08 of Basin. He pitted 14 laps ago as well. When you go and scroll yourself back again to the 7th and 8th, 9 laps ago they pitted. So bunch of varying strategies as we got a big dogfight here for 9th spot between Schmidt, Austin, and Harry in the 70, but lots of varying strategy for the time. And this is going to play interesting coming into this, what is to be the first green flag cycle.
Yeah, and those guys that pit about 30 laps ago, they're going to have to pit, of course, way sooner than those that pit around 10, 15 laps ago. So I think for some, it might be a 2-stop race still, and for some, we'll see if those that pit the most recently can maybe stretch it enough. I don't think we can with 100 to go. It still might be a 2-stop race for everybody, but for those on that 30-lap strategy, it still might be 3, and not necessarily ideal with this few laps left, I guess.
Definitely.
I'm going to make 3 stops and with this few laps left. So we'll definitely see, I'm sure, some fuel saving. Just depends on who can do it the best and how long they need to do it for.
Apologies about the message popping out and stuff like that, but now a third of the way through the race. Everybody's settling themselves down. Got a fight brewing up for 4th, though. It's between Kendrick, who's started himself up front now, has dropped himself to the tail end of the top 5. Getting hounded in by the 15. Benjamin A. White, for the time being. 3 cars under a blanket for 4th. As Kendrick's trying to set himself a nice pace, but unfortunately is losing positions in the process.
Yeah, Kendrick's one of those that pit 30 laps ago, so the older tires look like are starting to take effect on that 076, as he'll drop a couple more spots. So he'll probably, I would assume, come down pit road about 10-ish laps from now, but we'll see when exactly he decides to do so. But up front, that 19 starting to pull away as they have our first taker, Jacob Oliver in the 18.
Yeah, Oliver was all the way to the back, so I'm not really sure if this is unscheduled by the 18. We'll have to see how that'll all go for right now, but Miller up front. And a nice run here by the 89 of Hobbs, who has a lot of right front damage as well on his machine, so Hobbs might be hindering the 08 of Basin for right now, and I know this whole entire top 3 are all on the same strategy, except for the 90. But Malachi could stretch the run a bit farther than what this top 3 can, as you see. Ow, Basin, he's tight! Basin got tight through the center of 3 and 4, had to lift out for the 89 of Hobbs, but for the time being, keeping themselves steady.
Yeah, it definitely could have been worse there for the 08, but still is a good opportunity here to try to make this pass again. But Malachi waiting in the wings. But I've noticed Malachi often has a different strategy than everybody else. It seems like he always likes to take risks and do things differently than everybody else does, but with how big of a lead he has right now at the top of the point standings, I mean, you gotta give him credit for what he does. It works.
Definitely. Oliver works himself back on the racetrack. He's 2 laps down, so it looks like it was an unscheduled pit stop by the 18, as he lets all these lead lap cars by. And Malachi, he's gained a lot of time on these 2 drivers ahead of him, since he has fresher tires than this 89 and the 08 of Basin, but now Malachi being held up by this 89 momentarily had to back out big time as he was cut off into 1. Has a run on the 89 down here. Gonna swing it down to the inside, and we'll see if he can grab this spot.
Yeah, definitely will have the preferred line through 3 and 4, and I think he'll be able to complete this pass pretty easily, and indeed he does, and oh my goodness, Mitch, I think just had a hardware issue. He went hard into the wall and flipped right up and over, and slides down the track into the inside wall, and that car is junk.
Ah, yeah, that's
That just shot straight into the outside wall and went right up and over. I have a feeling that had to be a wheel disconnection or maybe a monitor shut off or something.
Yeah,
definitely does not look like something that was in his control there.
Oh, no way. And that was something that Nick Miller mentioned to me that the 89 had. He had a bit of wheel issues coming into tonight's race. Seems as though it's going to bite him here on lap 59, but all eyes on the 89 here as he worked himself through, and unfortunately...
Malachi, I gotta say, that 90 could not have passed him at a better time. I mean, it just hooked straight up into the wall and flipped right upside down, and I think Kendrick actually got a piece of him there. But if Malachi had still been behind Mitch when that happened, what's to say he wouldn't have been involved in that? But, of course, caution obviously back out here. And our longest green flag run of the night concludes with our second flip of the night. And I'm sure this will bring everybody back down on pit lane.
Yep, there you go. So everybody back on pit road. Everybody gonna probably take on 4 tires and reset themselves fuel-wise. So, good time to have a caution now for everybody to set themselves forth the rest of this, rest of the race. So that'll leave us with now 91 laps to go. I mean, these drivers are going to have to split it to 45 if they want to one-stop it. $45 to go. Maybe you might see some drivers work themselves onto pit road, you know, top off on fuel. We'll have to see. I'm pretty sure you're definitely gonna see drivers maybe top off in field because it is fairly close to the end. Yeah, here comes the 90 of Malachi. If Malachi's coming in, I'd also follow him in because you know how good Malachi is on strategies and stuff.
Yeah, it looks like Aaron Brown of the 007 also back on pit lane. So we're gonna have, I think, 86, 87 laps to go on the restart. So it should be a one-stop race now for sure for everybody.
Still gonna be close on fuel though.
Agreed. There might be a little bit of saving that has to be done, but I think if you can save enough successfully, or if another caution comes out, I think everybody should be fine there.
Yeah, so we run 75% fuel here in ACOG. 75% of a full tank. Usually, you could press it to around, like, I'd say, I'm thinking of cup cars, and we should push it lap 55 to 60-ish, so... I forgot how much you could push it in the Xfinity cars on cookie cutter racetracks, but... I think, Chicagoland, we had, like, about 40-ish, 45-ish laps to run on a tank. So... It's definitely gonna be close. If we do see some type of caution, or if we do see this thing play out to green, I'm interested to see on how it'll all go. And we're averaging a caution every 10 laps, by the way, so not necessarily this is saying this is gonna be the last caution, but.
I doubt it will be, but we'll see.
Take the green on 63. This time by. So Basin, gonna pick this thing up to the green. Oh, no surprise to see the 08 up there. He's up there just about every week he shows up. He's won multiple races this season, as well as Parker White, who is not here, but will probably secure himself a spot into the ACOG playoffs. Regardless, for the 08 Basin, it'll be more extra bonus points for him to carry into the Final Four coming at Homestead. So, big wins here for that 08 as he hits the throttle. We'll see if Miller could deny him by the end of 150, but for right now, it's all Basin.
Yeah, the more bonus points, the better, of course. As indeed, 88 to go.
Ooh, man. Basin got sideways there. Oh, Miller ran into him.
The wall goes Miller, and around he goes, and that's going to be a big hit to the inside wall.
And no caution's going to come out because of that.
And that's going to be the end of the night for Nick, unfortunately. Great run going for him. Not anymore. Done here on lap 63, and a added misfortune there, but a caution not coming out. And for the lead, Benjamin White on Dylan Basin. And I was going to mention with Dylan, him and Parker White have gone at it quite a few times over the last couple of weeks, going back and forth with race victories. No Parker here for tonight, and Dylan now pacing the field here over the halfway mark.
Yeah, but he got loose big time, and Miller ran right into the back of him, ended up losing the car off of 2. And since he nailed the wall on the inside, didn't spin up the racetrack, No caution got called, and Miller's gonna finish 11th by the looks of it. Or most likely, yeah, most likely 11th. So we're now left with very minimal cars on the racetrack for these next 100 laps.
You see a lot of wrecks like that at Darlington, not necessarily at a track like this. But, I mean, of all the times to run high out of a corner, that's about the worst time you can do it. And once you hit the wall and you start to spin down to the bottom, there's pretty much nothing you can do at that point to save your race car. And as a result, the 19 done for the night. So I think that leaves us with 10 on the lead lap and 11 total. Here's, well, 84 to go at the line.
We'll see how much damage Basin really received off of that exchange with Miller. Man, we're lined up nose to tail for all these drivers in this battle for the lead. Benjamin got a huge run through 3 and 4. He's going to work to the high side. We'll see if he can work himself around Basin. The 08, side by side through 1 and 2. Basin on the bottom. Benjamin in the middle. And he's going to get a huge run off the corner. A new leader. How about that for the 15?
Wow.
And Benjamin A. White hasn't had a lot of good runs lately, but he's led a few laps this season. By means of few, he's led a handful, actually. And the 15, when he has the car dialed down, he could definitely lead this thing, and there he is up front.
And he's had the speed a lot of weeks, but unfortunately, he's very good at being caught up at incidents that are not his fault. It seems like every week, just like with Connor Brandon, anytime he shows a lot of speed, something inevitably happens that ends up kicking him out of the contention for the win. So hopefully for him, that doesn't happen here for tonight, and we can maybe see him get the victory.
That would be awesome to see Benjamin A. White in victory lane.
Just a lot of bad luck.
Basin
As
lose
battle
again.
for P2, Kendrick gets the nose on him. As Basin got a bit loose there out of 4. And it's going to be advantage Kendrick, I think, here into 1. But we saw the outside work just now with Benjamin getting the lead away, and you'll see Basin use that to his advantage and hold on to that spot for right now.
Yeah, that outside line, you could do a good job of defending there up on the high side, better than what I thought. Basin ended up keeping second because he got a good run through 1 and 2 up the high side. Of course, you use more tire up there. Question is, how many times are you going to use that high side to your advantage? Versus how much tire you're going to have at the end of the run.
Yeah, I'm sure Luke Peters wishes he might be in the race still, because he was pretty much the only one using that high side earlier. I'm sure he'd be rim riding it up there, getting some spots right now if he was still on track, but unfortunately he disconnected a while ago. And again, just down to 10 cars on the lead lap, and looks like Benjamin is starting to put a little bit of distance now between himself and Basin. I mean, it's not much, but I think it's enough to have some breathing room for right now. But the 08 and 076 definitely gunning for that top spot.
Yeah, not only that, I mean, Benjamin's setting the rhythm for this long run. It's all that matters of how that lead lap car wants to lead this, you know, on how he wants to control his interval to that second place car. Does he want to push the issue all the way 100%? Wear off his stuff on the short run? See where he is from there? Or trying to balance it out, which most likely he's doing. Hence why that gap hasn't grown between first and second so far. But Basin, he's the best in the league at managing tires. And that 08, I expect him to maybe best out the 15, but we haven't seen Benjamin in this kind of position just yet. So we'll see if Benjamin could control this thing all the way to the checkered.
Well, that gap, or the lead gap, was about 2.5 tenths of a second. It's now down to just over a tenth. So the 08 already chopping into the little lead that Benjamin did have. So I think the 15 here in a moment is going to have to go on the defensive to try to keep that 08 behind him.
And not only that, if these top two get it wrong, you're only 4 tenths back to Ryan Kendrick in that 076, and Kendrick has led a good majority of this race. He's led now, I think, about 35 laps so far in that 076. So Kendrick might be saving the best tires out of this top two, but Basin's been hitting the apron a lot of times. You want to keep yourself off of that blue line. And Basin been flirting with it.
Yeah, the The idea is to get as close to that green line, as close to the blue line as possible without hitting it. And it's a very, very fine line, quite literally and figuratively, to try to run through the middle of the corners. And if you can hug it perfectly, you get a great run off the corner. And you see Basin just hugging those left side tires right on the line. But if you get any lower than that, you might end up in some trouble.
Yeah, and the thing about it here is, ever since the new Charlotte came into the service, the seam on where that blue line is above, I mean, the seam versus where the blue line is has a bit, or offset just by a bit. Hence why you see Basin, he's leaning those left side tires on, or maybe even below, that blue line. There's a bit of leeway there that those drivers can...
Very little, though.
It's very, very little. And you'll see it through here, yet again, Basin's leaning those left side tires on that blue line, but that small margin is good enough to corner your car through, and you see right here, Basin had a huge run through 3 and 4 because Benjamin missed the bottom there. And I expect Basin to make a challenge for this lead here in just a moment, but that time he tagged the apron in 1 and 2. He's been doing that recently.
Yeah, you
for
see
these
that
past few laps.
To the ground.
That's right.
Just that little bit of hit in the apron just about momentarily doubled Benjamin's lead, but Dylan's going to send it this time, and did it just about perfectly, but so did Benjamin, so the gap stays about the same. It's a very fine line, literally, when it comes to hugging that blue line. If you do it perfectly, great. If you get it a bit too far to the left, well, you see what happens.
Yeah, and Benjamin seems as though he's better in 3 and 4, but I mean, Benjamin, he might have 1 and 2 really racked in, but Basin, he's way, way better in 3 and 4. Basin keeps hitting the apron in 1 and 2. If he could correct that, he could definitely take the lead here. He has another huge run on Benjamin, because Benjamin got a bit sideways down the backstretch. You see it through the corner this time. Oh, now Basin's going to try high side.
Ooh. Good move here for the yoke. We'll see if it works. I think he might be able to cross over down the backstretch for the lead. Dylan Basin on Benjamin White. Chose a perfect time to go up to the top side instead of the bottom. But now Benjamin's getting a bit of a run up there as well. But I think in the end, Dylan will prevail, and there he does. Lead change here at Charlotte coming to lap 80. Dylan Basin, your new race leader.
Yeah, Basin wasn't going to make the bottom work in 1 and 2. He had to make the top work in 1 and 2, and indeed he did so well. But Benjamin fighting back on the bottom. That 80, man, he could sail up on the high side and have a huge, huge bite through the corner, and now I think Basin's going to set his sights to pull himself forward.
Man, that was as good of a pass for the lead as you'll see at a track like Charlotte, and because Dylan used that high side again through 1 and 2, it propelled him even further ahead, and you see now that gap now almost 0.4 of a second, and now he's clear of Benjamin back down to the bottom. The 08 goes.
If I were Benjamin, I wouldn't be focusing in too much on Basin. Don't worry yourself too much. You still got 1 pit stop to go. If I was the 15, I'd start planning strategy-wise. Probably this thing's gonna go green all the way from this point forward. Now it's time to plan out your strategy. When are you gonna hit pit road, and how are you gonna time pit road out well to which you're on pit road at the right time? You don't want to be in there too early in which you don't have tires there at the end, nor don't you want to be on pit road too late in which you lose time for those people with new tires out on the racetrack. So we'll see on what Benjamin could elect with here as he runs in 2nd place.
Yeah, and it still seems like the high side is definitely better in small spurts, but not really on a longer run if you go up there a lot. It seems like the amount that Dylan used it is about what you should do to really propel yourself forward. So that's basically your guide right there. If you want to make a pass on the high side, do what that 08 did. But at this point for Benjamin, we see him now over half a second back and potentially now falling into the grasp of Kendrick. Now you're going to have to start thinking about strategy to try to get back around that 08. You just mentioned that, trying to figure out when to come in, maybe thinking about an undercut of Basin, or maybe staying out a bit longer and seeing if those tires towards the end will be the difference. Whether you have more or whether Dylan has more.
Usually it's driver instinct to go ahead and hit the 1 key on when you're going to hit pit road on the lap you want to hit pit road, of course. But I'd be silent if I was the 15. I wouldn't, or do the opposite and be as loud as you can, you know, and try to bait that 08 on a pit road. So everybody hit pit road at the same time. We'll have to see on, you know, where these drivers will, when they're going to hit pit road. It's definitely going to be really interesting to see on, you know, who's going to be out where once you do go through this probably only pit stop of the night. But if we do have a second pit stop, man, cramming 2 pit stops with now 66 laps to go, it's gonna be very, very interesting to see on how that strategy will play out, because there's gonna be a ton of margin that these drivers could play around with.
Yeah, it definitely remains to be seen as you go on board here with our second place runner of Benjamin. You see everybody's last pit is exactly the same. Everybody came down on that last caution involving Mitch Hobbs. So again, it's a matter now of how you decide to play that strategy. And it's going to be really close on fuel, though. I mean, we were talking about potentially trying to undercut, but I mean, undercutting might potentially leave you in a situation where you don't have enough fuel to the end. And with a window of 43 to 47 laps, these guys pit 27 laps ago. That'll put you, I think, about lap 105 when you want to come back down pit road. And that's going to be really close on the other end at the end of the race. So the fuel being as close as it is might also prevent a potentially more aggressive strategy in terms of when you might want to get more tires.
Yeah, that's right. So I think you could go ahead and cross out short pitting out of the list.
For sure.
So
it's going to be staying out longer, but by staying out longer, you're running the risk of the car you're trying to beat gaining all that ground on you as they pit earlier than you. And at that point, it's just, can you leave yourself enough time at the end to gain that ground back? And if you don't, well, at that point, you're just gift wrapping them the victory. So it's all about timing now.
yeah, so they have to hit that lap, that 45 to go mark. And we're coming up on that mark in a moment here in about, I'd say, 25-ish laps from now. So, oh, Benjamin in the wall.
That's not going to help his case, but it is going to help the case of Ryan Kendrick in the 076, as that's going to pull him right up to the back bumper of that 15. Won the pole here for tonight, now sits in third, but might be able to make that second here in a moment.
Yeah, Benjamin is he's pressuring the issue a bit too much right now. Benjamin, you know.
Yeah, Basin's in a league of his own right now at this point.
He's in a league of his own. You don't want to, you know, put the issue on too much to catch yourself up to the lead. Don't have like a lot of tire left, so. Again, that mark we're going to be watching is that lap 105 mark. And if we see some drivers come in before lap 105, that's going to be a big red flag for those drivers, or for every single driver. In a matter of fact, as Benjamin takes Kendrick's line away, and a couple on Eduardo, who is a lap car. I don't know if he was trying to move down low or move up high, but Benjamin
that looks
now
closer than it was.
Yeah, I think a bit of miscommunication there where Benjamin wanted Eduardo to go, and Eduardo ended up, you know, keeping himself up high. Not a lot of fights as of right now. I mean, everybody's pretty much spread out except for... I mean, yeah, everybody is spread out except for these two drivers right here.
Well, Frimpong... Oh, jeez. I was just about to say Frimpong isn't that far behind Benjamin and Kendrick, but Eduardo got loose up there in turn 2, and I think he brushed the wall, and Frimpong had to take evasive action onto the apron. He'll get by the 29 this time with no problem. But if these two have a run in, that 53 right there potentially to take advantage of it. Pretty much about the only
Oh, Benjamin's in the wall again.
And that, I think, yeah, there he goes. That'll give Kendrick P2. I think Benjamin might have used up his tires way earlier than everybody else did. And it would not surprise me in a couple laps if the 53 of Frimpong gets there and maybe even gets third away from that 15. But now, I mean, now that Kendrick is clear of Benjamin, we'll see if he can maybe try to track down Basin before these pit stops happen.
Yeah, I mean, Kendrick, of course, already led a handful amount of laps, so 2.3 is the gap between Kendrick and Basin, as here we go, pit stops are open, and this is very early for Harry to hit pit road with,
That's not going to be enough fuel to the end either.
Yeah, that's not going to be enough fuel to the end, so now it's going to be, looks like a two-stop strategy from this point forward. So now if you're these other drivers, do A, want to stretch the fuel all the way to the end, or B, come down on in, split the strategy into thirds. So now will Basin hit pit road, or will the other drivers hit pit road now?
That's really interesting, too, because depending on how much time Harry loses both this time and on a potential second stop, I mean, he could potentially have fresher tires at this point than every other car on the racetrack, but it'll be a matter of, are those tires fresh enough and is there enough race left for him to gain that time he'll lose by making an extra stop?
Got another car on pit road. It's Schmidt in the 79, so Schmidt's going to take the gamble on the pit road, coming in for 8th. Eduardo Munoz will work himself on the pit road, but he's 1 lap down. So now we're starting to see a bit of pit stops and seeing on where everybody's going to shuffle through. So is this going to be a warning sign for this top 3? As Frimpong is going to work himself into 3rd.
But see, that's the thing. I mean, if you pit right now, you're not going to be good to the end unless you can somehow save about 7 or 8 laps of fuel, and I don't know how feasible that is. So we'll see if anybody decides to pit now, or anybody in the top 4, I mean, decides to pit now, or if they decide to stretch this run all the way to the end so they can stretch the next one all the way to the end.
If it were to be somebody in this top 4, it has to be Benjamin. Benjamin's fallen off big time. Now he's outside of this top 3. If I was Benjamin, I might as well take the gamble to go on a pit road. There's 7 seconds, I mean, about 3 seconds back to Aaron Brown.
Yeah, and Malachi not that far back of Aaron as well. I think if I'm the 15, I'd pit now, but, I mean, the 08's just smooth sailing. If I'm Basin, I'm staying out till the tank run's just about dry.
How are they going to line up with Harry? I mean, Harry was way, way far back. It was like 10 seconds back of Basin, so we'll see how much time Harry makes up. And, you know, Harry's time,
I don't think it'll be much, though.
Harry ran a 31, and Basin ran a 32, so he's gaining about a second every lap.
Yeah, for right now, though, but once these leaders pit, they're going to have fresher tires than Harry does back. But, again, Harry's going to have to pit again, so we'll see again how much time he loses on that second stop and if he can gain enough of it back with those fresher tires. So it's kind of mind games at this point, seeing which one of these strategies will end up working out better.
That's right, and again, you need to make it to that lap 45 mark. It's going to be very, very close. So if you can't make it to that lap 45 mark, that means how much fuel do you have to save all the way to the end? Basin's on his 41st lap on the racetrack, and we're coming up on that lap 105 mark, so
I'm estimating it's going to be about probably 6 to 8 laps you're going to have to save if you're somebody like Benjamin if you decide to pit right now.
I think it'll be less than that, honestly. I think it'll be around like 2-ish laps, or maybe even 1. As another car peels itself on a pit road. That's
Oliver.
That's Jacob Oliver. He's laps down. Here comes Kendrick. So this is a top 3 car. It's followed in by Benjamin A. White. So now, with these drivers,
stays out.
Yeah, Frimpong stays out.
Aaron Brown.
And Frimpong, not only that, Frimpong is, he's shutting off the engine, I think. He's trying to coast it to that lap 105 mark. But
That's a bold move right there.
Yeah, it is a bold move. And not only that, if you're coasting it now to make it to 105, you're going to have to coast it to the checkered flag.
I mean, you might, at this point, just be splitting your coasting in half. Is it worth it to coast half now and half later, rather than coasting all of it at the end? I mean, we'll see. That could be the race-winning move for all we know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. So it's definitely going to be interesting. And we'll see if when Basin hits pit road. I'm very surprised he hasn't hit pit road just yet.
You also have to make
here
sure
he goes.
There he goes.
Man, he's going to be 2 laps short.
You also have to make sure that when you come down pit road to fill your tank all the way, because believe it or not, we've had races decided by that before.
Yep.
Remember back at Auto Club, we had John Jenkins, looked like he was going to win in his first ever league start, ended up filling his tank about 3 laps short and had to pit from the lead with 2 to go. So hopefully everybody gets that tank as full as possible here on this last stop.
Oh man, this has been a while since we've seen a fuel race like this, so it's definitely going to come down to who has the most fuel at the end.
Frimpong stays out again.
Frimpong is staying out. He hit the 105 mark, so he had to save a ton there. And I don't know how much time he lost saving fuel. Now,
well, there's Basin. He just came off pit road, so...
Yeah, so Basin, he's 3 laps short. He's going to have to save 3 laps, or like, I'd say 2. Because, you know, that's a bit much to save 3, but... Oh, man. Well, now everybody's scrambled and such like that. It's a bunch of various strategies now.
The other thing, too, is Frimpong is going to have fresher tires than Basin whenever he does pit as well.
That's right. That is very, very true.
As Kendrick gets by Malachi, as Frimpong now hits pit road here on lap 105, so he'll have, looks like, 2 or 3 lap fresher tires than Basin, and 2 or 3 laps more fuel. So we'll see if this ends up being a race-winning strategy call for this 53 car, as Malachi Hill stay out and get a bonus point for leading a lap.
And Malachi, too. He's playing the fuel strategy. And not only that, he topped off with 1 lap to go.
And here he's on 106. That'll put him
even better.
He'll have 43 on this last stint, which is the low end of the fuel run. So I think he'll be good for sure to the end now.
Yeah, that's right. So for sure, for 2-stop strategies, it's going to be Grindle and Schmidt. We're going to have to rely off of 2 stops. But unfortunately for them, they're behind Basin and Kendrick, so their hopes of winning this race are dashed unless Basin has to hit pit road.
And look at the gap as well between Basin as Malachi pits. He'll take the lead back. Frimpong is now almost 10 seconds behind the 08 car. I mean, that is a lot of ground to make up and not a lot of time.
But you don't know how much fuel Basin used up during that run. So
Kendrick's gaining on the 08 too.
Yeah, that's right. And again, they both hit pit road, or no, Basin hit pit road 1 lap later than Kendrick. So fuel-wise, Basin, he looks okay.
And he has a little bit of wiggle room to save, perhaps, as well.
Yeah, that's right. He definitely has a ton. He has a ton of wiggle room to save fuel. I mean, it's all the way back to the 53. 10 seconds back to that 53 of Frimpong, who's probably going to be able to 1-stop it.
And now, that gap's increasing. That's up to it was about 9.7 when he came off pit road. Now it's 10.4.
Oh, that's a... If I was Basin now, I'd probably want to save fuel now. I mean, you know the gap between yourself and the next car, I mean, on that fuel strategy. Now Basin, he's starting to save fuel. He's coasting it through the corner now. And that's very smart to start saving fuel now rather than later. So we know Basin's gonna be close now.
And Kendrick's going full throttle still. So I think the 076 is gonna take the lead back. But now it's a matter of if Kendrick gets far enough ahead of Basin with him saving like this, does that give Kendrick enough wiggle room to save to the end and hold on to the lead?
I think Kendrick is in a worse spot than Basin because Kendrick hit pit road before Basin. He hit 2 laps. He hit pit road 2 laps. 2 laps later, or 2 laps earlier than that 08. And if that was that 08, I mean, I'm not very, very sure. I mean, it's going to be close for the 08, but with Kendrick going full throttle like this, he might be relying off of a splash and go for the next pit stop. But it's gonna boil down, no matter what. Whoever comes out on top, it's gonna boil down to who has the most fuel. So I'm excited. I'm sorry, I'm getting antsy and stuff like that. It's all these anxious situations on the racetrack with everybody on various strategies and such.
I mean, even a stopping or a splash and go is still going to cost you 30 or 35 seconds to pit road.
That's right.
That's still, I mean, it's more ideal than filling your tank completely, but that's still a lot of time you're going to lose. Remains to be seen, though.
Yep.
You know, I do wonder as well if Frimpong is potentially trying to stay out longer in anticipation of a potential green-white checkered, because you remember back at Chicagoland, we ran 147 laps green, and with 3 laps to go, the first caution of the night came out that set us up for an overtime finish. So perhaps there was some anticipation of that happening again when these guys stayed out a bit longer. Because you never know when stuff like that might happen.
We'll pull up the panel yet again to see on where everybody sits as of right now. So, if you're not just joining us here live on MaxspeedTV, welcome for the ACOG NASCAR Series Charlotte rerun. It's boiling down to an interesting situation with fuel. Everybody getting close to the end. The 70 and 79, William Schmidt, Harry Grindle. For sure, they're going to two-stop it all the way to the end. The 08 of Basin, he's 10 laps into his run, stayed out a bit longer than Kendrick and Benjamin A. White. He sits with 10 laps on his tank, but Kendrick and Benjamin both sit with 12, now 13. So, Mark, he saved a bit more fuel than that 08, but Mark is also saving fuel as well. So, now, the person who has to be loving to see all this, the 90.
Yeah, we've set up, I mentioned it earlier, Malachi always does things a little bit differently than everybody else, and even that 2 or 3 lap gap of him staying out just a bit longer than everybody else, it may end up being the difference tonight. And again, that's why he's up there in the points lead, taking risks like this, and they seem to always pay off almost every time for that 90 car, and it's looking like it could potentially do it again here in tonight's race.
He's still saving fuel. He is 12 laps into his run and he's still saving fuel. And that worries me a ton.
And with the amount of cars as well that are out of the race tonight, that's also, I believe, going to lock Malachi into the chase on points as well here through this race, or at this point in the night. So, I mean, why not try it? Now that you know for a fact at this point you're pretty much guaranteed to be one of the 10 cars going for a title. I mean, what better time to experiment than right now when you have nothing else to lose?
And not only that, Malachi could get some bonus points onto it, so... Yeah, Basin saving fuel like this is worrisome. How much fuel can that 08 save? And Kendrick is, not letting him go either, but Kendrick is on a worse situation than what Basin is. Basin's doing a nice job of saving as much fuel as he can right now.
Coming to 32 to go now. I don't know if this is a battle for position, but it's a battle on track regardless. Benjamin White and Mark Austin.
Yeah, Mark
I think that 159's a lap down.
Yeah, and Austin, he hit pit road 14 laps ago, so he's sort of on the same strategy as Malachi, but Mark, I think we'll eventually cycle to the lead lap by the end of this thing.
Yeah, on track for a 9th place finish right now. Not too shabby for him. Had a pretty consistent night going so far. And we'll see if he can get any more spots than where he is right now.
we'll keep this laps since pit panel up to see on where everybody, you know, stands out on the racetrack for right now. But regardless, now it's a waiting game. Now, everybody's sort of minding their own business. They're not racing the drivers on the racetrack, since you know, it's all going to boil down to fuel. Where are you going to be by the end of lap 150? By terms of Harry Grindle and William Schmidt, 14 seconds and 23 seconds back. They're going to have to two-stop this thing, for sure, and make it all the way to the end. And if I was that 79 or 70, things are not looking too shabby right now for them. I mean, things are looking a bit shabby for them, actually. Don't know how the strategy is going to play well with Grindle nor Schmidt, but they're going to run out of this thing regardless with a top 10. Mason's still saving fuel, my goodness. And Kendrick is too. I mean, Kendrick...
Did we underestimate or overestimate the fuel run? Is it closer to maybe 40 than 45?
I'm not sure. I mean...
With how much they're saving.
Schmidt's down on pit road. This is his second and final stop.
So he split this run in half, but this is, unfortunately, it's going to put him back a lap down for probably a while.
Yeah.
Same goes with the 70.
And Bason's still saving fuel. I mean, who knows how many laps we ran under caution during those 45-ish laps that Bason ran. What is for sure, though, Kendrick's on a terrible, you know, not on a terrible strategy, but he's on a worse strategy than Bason, as well as Benjamin. And Kendrick is now losing more time than he is Bason. Who's looking good right now is a 53 of Frimpong. Frimpong's loving this. This thing, if Bason has to pit, this is all going Frimpong's way. Frimpong is a full sail. He's not saving. Oh, Benjamin has to come in. Okay. So
Ooh.
Benjamin seems as though he has to hit pit road.
I wonder if he didn't save at all, because I'm pretty sure him and Kendrick pit on the same lap.
I think Benjamin, he did save a bit, but I guess a swap in strategy for that 15, he decides to go on the pit road, and I guess he doesn't want to risk pitting with, you know, 2 laps to go. So...
Yeah, we'll see what that means for Kendrick, though. 25 to go at the line for Bason.
And the gap is 3 seconds between Bason and Kendrick, so it's looking okay for him right now.
And the 53 is closing in on both of them, I think.
Yeah, the last lap that Frimpong hit...
He's going all out.
32.096. Dylan hit a 32. Oh, they're actually on the same lap time, so... All three of them are saving fuel. I thought Frimpong would be pushing the issue there.
Yeah, me too. I thought he would have been going all out at this point. Maybe he was waiting a couple more laps to do it.
Man, Bason's saving so much. Man's is literally turning the engine off on the straightaways.
Yeah, what that tells me is with Frimpong still saving, that just shows you how much more Bason has to save than he does.
Oh man, and Kendrick came in!
Yeah, I was thinking that if Benjamin had to, so would the 076, and here he is, pitting with 24 to go, and that'll elevate the 53 up into second. And I'm sure Grindle's going to come down pretty soon as well. He can't make it to the end either.
Schmidt is still on pit road. Not sure what happened to him, but he was on the same strategy as Harry, who's currently in 6th spot. And Harry has to go onto pit road. So...
yeah, so that's going to put Schmidt in 10th, it looks like. And so he'll still gain some points, but not as many as he could have.
Yeah, and oh man, near contact there with a 15 and 007 of Aaron Brown.
Yeah, and I don't know if the 007 is saving it all either, because he pit a lap after Dylan did, but a lap before Frimpong did. He's right in the middle of the both of them.
Yeah, that's right.
He might just run the tank drive regardless, but Grindle now back off pit road. Oh boy.
There's the 90 of Malachi. He sits third.
He pit a lap after Frimpong. And I don't know if Malachi's been saving at all.
Oh, that tells you he is saving.
Oh, well, yeah.
Or that might be a tire
that was a bit more than the tire difference. That's definitely fuel saving. And the 15 should get by him pretty easily here as well. But what this has also allowed is, now that Kendrick is in, the gap between Basin and the next car in the lead lap is now 5.5 seconds. This gives him even more wiggle room to save than he had before.
That's right.
Which is all the more important to him.
And now the question comes to be,
20 to go.
20 to go. Can Basin make it all the way? I mean, oh my goodness, he's gonna have to make it 47-ish laps.
And that's the high end of the window, but who knows how many laps of fuel he's been able to save now since he came off pit road. Because he's been saving pretty much the entire time.
That's right, he had to save the entire run. It's not like he's, like, all the way on edge. He saved the whole entire run, and he's still managing gap. It's still working out for him, but...
Well, that's the thing. Whatever number he's on, you can add 2 laps to that for Frimpong, and add 3 or 4 to Malachi. So if Dylan ends up not being able to make it despite all this saving, the 53 and the 90 are going to benefit pretty greatly from this.
Kendrick to the inside. This is not for position. This is just for on-track, on-track position, not actual positioning. So, Frimpong, fuel economy-wise, that 53 is on a better eco than that, that 008. William Schmidt disconnects. Not sure what happened to him, but he's, he was multiple laps down.
And he'll finish in 9th despite that, though, so you only have 8 cars left on the racetrack.
That's right, so...
And I'm sure, Grindle, he really, really needs as many points as he can get, and he'll gain at least 1 spot, because that 159 may end up having to pit again as well.
That's right.
So that final spot's going to come down to Talladega next week between Schmidt and everybody else around that bubble.
17 laps to go. Has Dylan played the fuel strategy right to save enough to the end? He's still saving as much fuel as he can. I mean, it's so hard to save. How many laps? 3, 4 laps? A 1.5 mile oval.
I think he needs to save again more like 6 or 7.
Yeah, that's right. He needs to save a bit more this run than what he had to do last run. Because for the last run, all he had to do was just make it to pit road. But now he has a set lap he has to make it to. And that's lap 150. So...
It's weird because the estimated window was 43 to 47, and it's like, well, if you make it to right middle of that to 45, in theory, you should be fine. And Frimpong made it to the 45 to go mark, but he's still saving as well, so...
I mean, Basin did as well. He made it to that 45 mark, but Malachi, he pushed it a bit further. And he made it to, about 42-ish to go. So...
And even he's been saving, so I think we may have overdone the window just a little bit.
But
maybe it was closer to 40 or 41 than it is 44 or 45.
Yeah, that's right. So now comes the time of... This is gonna be really close to the end. So, Basin is 6 seconds ahead of Frimpong.
There's Kendrick. He's going to lap himself here.
And Frimpong could definitely push the issue. Frimpong...
When's he going to go, though? I mean...
Yeah, that's right.
Here's the thing. It's like, he can go quicker than Dylan did, or Dylan can, but he's got 13 laps to make up roughly 6 seconds, and at some point the 08's going to go as well. So, did Frimpong end up leaving himself not enough time to make that gap up?
It's 6.5 seconds. Or actually, no, it's 6 seconds now. 2. That way to Basin. Now, if Basin has to hit pit road, game over for the 08, all for the 53 of Frimpong. And it's going to be another 5 seconds back to the 90 of Malachi Drake. And Malachi is on the best scenario out of everybody else. So... if Basin can't run out It's left to Frimpong and Drake, but if Frimpong runs out, it's all for Drake. And Bason's
that's
still
assuming
saving fuel.
Malachi stayed long enough to make it too.
Yeah, that's right.
Time will tell with that one. And if Malachi can't make it, well, maybe it isn't over for Kendrick either. Because he's the next man up. Because if none of them make it, Aaron Brown isn't going. So Kendrick and Benjamin, it may not look good for them right now, but you still can't count them out yet.
Yeah, and the thing about last pit stop as well, the 15, that's a 4-tire pit stop by the 15. So it's not like a splash and go or anything like that. He took on crushed rubber on that pit stop as well. Bason's still saving as much as he can, and he's coming down to closing time.
Yeah, when's Frimpong going to gas it up? We'll see how much the gap is this time. But it's going to be 10 to go, and it's a 6-second gap. That is not a lot of time for a lot of ground. I don't know if Frimpong can make this up at this point. Yeah,
that's right. And not only that, Frimpong, it's so tempting to push the issue. It's so tempting. But at the same time, you want to race the cars on the racetrack, you're in here to, run for fun and such like that, but the fuel window, oh gosh, you can't win it if you can't make it all the way to the end.
At this point, it's do you want to push it now and risk running out to go for the win, or are you content with second place at this point? That's really the question he's got to answer for himself now. Because if he decides he's content with second place, then, potentially good win Dylan at this point.
But, Dylan is on a worse fuel strategy than Frimpong.
And here, so, reminder again, the high end of the estimated run was 47 laps. You see Mark Austin comes in 36 laps into the run. So 47 laps for Dylan will be the white flag. So again, he's been saving this whole run, but we're going to find out, of course, very, very soon if anybody ended up saving enough. As you see, Benjamin on the 15 will unlap himself this time, and that'll put 6 cars on the lead lap.
Man, this is going to come down really, really close, but Bason's done a really nice job of, saving that from the start of the run. He saved from the start of the run, and Benjamin and Kendrick pit on different lap intervals than Bason. And that 08's still saving. He has 5 seconds now, 5.5. So, Frimpong
picked up half a second.
He took off half a second that time. It's been fluctuating, though.
He's not gaining fast enough, though.
That's right. He'll have to gain, now...
almost a second a lap now.
Yeah, a second a lap. But, that's if both of them could run all the way to the end. But if Bason can't make it to the end, oh boy, that might be it. We'll have to see.
Sounds like William Schmidt, the disconnection there was a pit road speeding penalty on entrance. So he ended up with a 30-second hold and then just called it a night at that point. So they mentioned in the pre-race, watching up for potential penalties. Unfortunately, the one we got was for the guy that in the last spot of the chase, so we'll see how that works out for him next week. 5 to go for Dylan. Did he save enough?
Yeah, 5 laps to go. Again, there's a 2-lap difference between Bason and Frimpong. Frimpong cut the gap to 5.1 seconds, so...
Still not fast enough, though. He's got to get a second a lap now.
Yeah, he has to get a second per lap, but...
At this point, if he wants to go for the win, he has to...
Yeah, now is the time.
Regardless of what happens. And if I'm Dylan, if you're going to run out, you might as well just run it till the tank dries and just coast to the finish.
Yeah, and see where you go from there.
At this point, if you run out, don't even pit. Just, you know what? If you stop on the track, you stop on the track. If it, whatever happens, happens now.
Yeah.
With it, you're too committed.
That's right. And Bason's pushing the issue now. And
yeah, the gap is down to 5, but only took off a 10. So I think at this point, I think Dylan might have saved enough here.
He might have. It's going to be close. And not only that, for Bason in this 08, yeah, now he's definitely starting to push the issue. Bason,
3 to go.
3 to go, and this is the, this is the warning mark. Around this lap 44 or 46 mark. Basin make it all the way to the end? He might have it made. I'm not really sure.
That might be an all-time fuel-saving performance if he makes it, though.
Yeah, not only that, like, you had a fuel save from the start of the run.
2 to go at the line. Oh boy.
You had to save from the start of the run. Keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's one thing to save for maybe 10 or 15 laps. He's been saving now 40 consecutive laps. I mean, that is quite the feat. I mean, as has Frimpong and Drake and Aaron Brown. I mean, all 4 of them have had this so long. So, I mean, hats off to all 4 of them, but it looks like in the end, with the way it's going right now, it's going to be Dylan doing it better than everybody else.
That's right. All right, 1.5 miles left for Dylan Basin in this 08 to pick up his, I think, 3rd or 4th win of the season. White flag, and it seems as though he's might. He's looked like he's played the strategy right. I'm very, very surprised about that, especially since he had no competition to really save around with. Seems as though he's going to come out victorious here tonight.
And out of turn 4, he saved for 45 laps, and in the end, that'll be enough. Dylan Basin takes the checkered flag here tonight at Charlotte and picks up a $10 payout as well. Frimpong will follow him behind and pick up 2nd place. Malachi Drake, your points leader, will round himself out in 3rd and will clinch a spot in the 10-car chase here for this series. Aaron Brown round out your top 5 there. Strong run for him in P4. And he'll barely hold off Kendrick. He was really catching up to that 007. But Dylan Basin, man of the hour, your winner here at Charlotte.
It's a great win for that 08. Going to carry a lot of momentum as he finally runs out of fuel. But man, Basin had a save from the start of the run. That's very impressive by that 08. And he was the only person on his strategy as well. So it's a very, very valiant effort there by the 08.
Shows as well, if he just ran out coming to the line, I mean, there was no way Frimpong could force the issue. He was pretty much stuck where he was. And it looks like Dylan saved just enough to do a burnout. Maybe.
Or tried to.
Oh, he thought about it.
Yep. Basin runs out right at the line, and we'll go ahead and show your full results here in front of your screen. Congratulations to, of course, that 08 of Dylan Basin for picking up the checkered flag. Frimpong gonna come up short there in 2nd spot in that number 53. Malachi Drake in the 90 in 3rd spot. Runs himself out as the points leader coming into Talladega, so that 90 looks a-okay for that event. Aaron Brown, Ryan Kendrick round out the top 5. It's Benjamin finally with a top 10 here tonight. Harry 1 lap down. Austin, Schmidt, and Oliver round out the rest of the top 10.
Eduardo Munez there in 11th. Nick Miller was running up front all night before that incident that didn't bring out a caution. He'll round out 12th. Mitch in 13th after that wheel disconnection. Matthew Klein, Luke Peters, Miles Nelson, David Bachman, Jackson Menchu, Tommy Reynolds, and Connor Brannon round at the top 20. In the last couple cars on the racetrack, Kevin White Jr., Kai Gomes, and Glenn Lundgren. He did not start the event here tonight. The show is not over, though. We'll be back here in just a couple of moments to interview the top 3, so be sure to stick around here for a couple more moments.
Back here live for the ACOG iRacing series. Came down to a fuel race all the way down to the checkered flag. And what a victory for that number 08 of Dylan Basin to pick up the checkered flag. Before we, dive into interviews here for tonight, Dewey, spark it off with you. What you think about tonight's race?
I mean, it was certainly an interesting one. We were talking about that entire run, who'd be able to save enough and how much they'd have to save. It turned out everybody saved enough, but in the end, Dylan was the one that played it perfectly and got himself the win here for tonight. Without further ado, I'll close my mouth and let Dylan open his, and we'll see what he's got to say about his win here in tonight's race.
Yep, that is right. We'll go ahead and drag him into the booth here. That number 48 of, 08 of Dylan Basin into the booth he goes. Dylan, man, it was very tense there during those final moments for you making yourself on this checkered flag, but luckily you made it with your fuel and you pick up another win here at Charlotte. Congratulations, man. First thoughts.
Well, that whole last run was crazy. Like I was saving as soon as I came out of pit road, and I'd be like 2-3 to the good. I'd push for a few laps, and then go back to being like on the dot. So I had to save again, and then go fast again, and then save again. To the point where I timed it perfectly, where I ran out of fuel coming out of turn 4, coming to the checkered, literally sputtering. Didn't have enough to do a burnout, unfortunately, but I thought Mark or Malachi would come charging up since I was clutching. I like the start finish line on the front stretch sometimes. I would try my best to save fuel, and I'm glad I started clutching that early, because if I didn't, I probably wouldn't have made it to the end. So yeah, I'm surprised I pulled that off. I thought it was going to be Mark and Malachi getting it, but it was a clean race. Nothing much really happened. It was enjoyable.
Yep, that 08 picks up his second win of the season. Congratulations here at Charlotte. And, coming into the last race tomorrow, of course, running a doubleheader. Where are you looking forward to Dega?
Usually I feel like I have a pretty good shot at plate tracks, more Dega than I do Daytona, but, I've won there before. I've won twice in this car once, so I'm confident. I think I might do the same strategy as usual, just lay low until the final 15, 20 laps and then go for it.
All right, bud. All right, man. 10-4. Before we let you go, any much want to thank you for tonight's race?
Just Nebula Esports and Storm for spotting me for the first quarter of the race and then leaving me.
All right, about 10-4. Dylan Basin, the 08, rounds himself out up top. Go ahead and see you coming to the next race, man.
Yep, thank you.
And the man who came home second, Mark Frimpong, was one position short. Go ahead and drag him in. Dewey, take it away.
Hey, Mark, got a copy?
Yes.
Man, we're seeing how many laps people would have to save for and who ended up making it to the end. And you made it to the end, but one position short. Dylan said he ran out of turn 4 coming to the checkered flag. How many laps of fuel did you have left?
I ran out at the exact same place Dylan did.
So that's pretty interesting to me, because you pit a lap after he did. He said he kept going a couple laps, then saving a couple laps, and going back and forth. Were you saving the entire run, or were you doing really the same thing he was and just kind of going back and forth and seeing how many laps you could get?
I was running a consistent pace. He was just able to make it further because he was clutching earlier. I was clutching and using the brakes, which was probably not good for me, but I wanted to drive it in just a little bit deeper, so I was able to pick up a lot of time on some of those laps. But where I really lost the race was on my pit entry and pit exit. I was like really conservative because I assumed that most of these other guys would not have enough, and I thought that I would only have to race Malachi and Aaron. And Dylan used his sweaty coke strategies that he's been watching from those iRacing streams to make it to the finish. So I should have, accounted for that.
I mean, it's still a great run for you, of course. P2, nothing to be ashamed of here. And before we go tonight, any sponsors you want to thank here?
Yeah, I think that I still have my Mark Frimpong car on, maybe on the stream. So Max Eric painted that, and I still have the Mario car for my custom number, obviously, which Austin Johnson painted, so that it's clutch. And obviously, thank you guys for putting on the show. It was fun, and we'll be back tomorrow for Talladega, of course. But yeah, and I'd also like to thank Dylan Basin's lunch bag girlfriend. She got him in his bag, and that's why he's performing so well, is because, he's got a point to prove.
All right, Mark Frimpong, P2 here tonight at Charlotte. Hope to see you back here tomorrow and for the rest of the season.
Oh yeah, we'll be back.
That was a 53 of Mark Frimpong, and that came up short In second spot, we'll drag in one more person to the booth, and that'll be the 90, Malachi Drake. Malachi, you're coming in here tonight as the points leader, and you know, you wrap yourself up a third place finish. Of course, no surprise for you. 35-point lead over Frank DeAngelis. Actually, more than that. Actually, it's gonna be a I think maybe I'm not really sure. Regardless, though, Malachi, big points day. You're gonna move yourself forward into the chase bubble. Unfortunately, with no wins, and he came up short in third here tonight. What went wrong?
You know, I didn't really have the track position. I kind of was just kind of laying back all race just because of how hectic it was, and then I accidentally took a set of tires, and so I was down a set, and so I had to just be super passive in the back. And luckily, it looked out in like a fuel strategy, and we didn't have any late race caution, so I was able to still get a top 5 out of it. But it was still a good race. You know, Basin was the fastest car all night, so he deserved the win, regardless of being fuel or on pure speed. So good job by him.
You wrap yourself home, third place run here for tonight. Of course, you coming here as the points leader. You're leaving here with a 47 point gap over Nick Miller in that number 19. So it seems as though you're going to come home a regular season champion off of coming into the chase in a couple of weeks. So any kind of thing, any strategy change coming into Talladega, or are you just going to run it as is and, you know, go with the flow?
You know, I'm just probably going to run it like I usually run super speedways, probably be a little bit passive at the start, and then about halfway try to move up there. You know, hopefully I can win that race to go into the playoffs with a win, but you know, a win's not everything. You know, consistent top 5s will get you there. So, you know, just kind of the same approach I've had all season.
All right, about 10-4. The 90 with consistency leads points coming into Talladega, and the cutoff for that top 10. Before I let you go, any much you want to thank here for tonight?
Just want to thank you guys for broadcasting, and for my teammates, Aaron Brown and Luke Peters, tonight, discussing fuel strategy and stuff.
All right, about 10-4. Malachi Drake rounds himself out third here tonight. We'll go ahead and see you coming tomorrow night for Talladega.
All right, thank you.
Well, Dewey, that'll go ahead and wrap ourselves up here for tonight's broadcast. Any tidbits or anything you want to go ahead and insert before we leave off tonight?
I just got to say, Talladega is going to be insane tomorrow.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you know how many people are going to show up for Talladega and stuff like that. I expect about 35, 40-ish people to go ahead and log themselves on in. Not only that, get a bit of practice for the next race at Talladega for the ARCA cars. So it's definitely no short.
Double Dega this weekend, yeah.
That's right.
Going to be a wild one for sure as you watch the bubble to see who gets those last couple of chase spots. It'll be definitely something to watch. And congrats once again to Dylan on saving enough fuel to take it here tonight. We'll see if he can back it up and do it again tomorrow night.
Up until next time, thank you for watching this Max Speed TV coverage presented to you by myself, Ezekiel Reyes, alongside, you know, Dewey Schramm. Dewey, go ahead, leave us out.
Bye.
Thanks.